I know not all of them are difficult, so we'll go through them quickly. The book of Exodus recorded the names of two midwives because they feared God more than Pharaoh. Yes. They were of the tribe of Moses. No, we don't know which tribe they were from. They were Egyptians but helped the Jewish mothers. No, they were actually Jewish, or Israelites. Better say Israelites. Jewish means the tribe of Judah. They were the ancestors of Christ. No, they were not the ancestors of Christ. There were other women that were ancestors of Christ. The book of Exodus showed us that God is going to accomplish salvation beginning with women in the book of Exodus. In the burning bush, Moses posed 5 objections. They included all the following except one of them is wrong. The Israelites would question his credibility. Yes, they did. And he anticipated it. The Israelites would ask him what the name of God is, and they did. And he asked God for his name. So both of them are true. C, the Israelites would ask him where the promised land is. This one thing he didn't mention. There was no talking about the promised land. Moses wanted God to send someone else. This was the 5th objection. He said, just send anybody else, not me. The 3rd question, the Exodus definition of a prophet is someone who foretells the future. And this is a question to test your knowledge of the true meaning of a prophet. It is not someone who tells the future or do miracles or somebody who writes a biblical book. It is only to tell that a prophet is a spokesman on behalf of another. The prophets of God are the spokespeople of God. They might be men and sometimes they were women. The prophet is speak on behalf of God. That's the answer, 3C. The 9th plague of the 10 plagues was the darkness. So it's B. Not the locusts, not the death of the firstborn was the 10th plague, not the gnats. Question number 5, I think, had most of the repetition, the repeat. God made 4 promises to Israel. They included their redemption, their future royal line, their promised land, the establishment of a temple worship. The only promise, so the 4 promises given to Israel is their sanctification. He said, I am Yahweh. That's the beginning. So they consider this as a sanctification promise that he will make them holy. And the second promise is a judgment. I will judge the Egyptians to take you out of their hands. And the third one is I will redeem you to become my people. And means they were lost in Egypt and then they will be redeemed again. And the fourth, I will take you to be in my promised land. So the promised land itself was promised to Abraham, but they're going there is the promise, not the promised land itself. They're going there to be taken to be living there. This is called the consummation promise, the 4th promise. But the 3rd promise was the redemption. The only correct one in this is A, the redemption. And that's the 3rd promise with a 3rd cup of wine. You call it the cup of salvation. And this is the cup that Jesus took to make his own blood. The Passover is the beginning of Israel history, correct? The Passover meal is a communion meal. Yes, it was made of a lamb that was offered to God as a sacrifice, but eaten by the Israelites. So it's a communion meal. The firstborn males were consecrated by Passover. That's true, then all of above. To match. Bitter herbs, it meant or symbolized their hard slavery. The Egyptians made the Israelites' life bitter. So bitter herbs to remember that bitterness. The matzah, which is unleavened bread, and this hinted to the sanctification. They are clear of the leaven, clear of sin of Egypt. Cups of wine represented God's promises. Therefore, Passover lamb, this represented the consecration of the firstborn. That God has bought the firstborn like he had done with Isaac. Passover Haggadah. There is a difference between Haggadah and Cedar. What's a Cedar and what's a Haggadah? Haggadah comes from a Hebrew word that says to tell, to narrate. And this meant the dialogue or the written words that had to be recited during Passover. So it's like exactly your Psalmodiya or your Khulagi book, the book of the written words of the liturgy. So the written word is the Haggadah, but the meal itself is the Cedar. The festive meal that you start the Passover with is the Cedar. So Passover Cedar is the items that's eaten. That would be the matzah, the bitter herbs, the wine, the Passover lamb. This is the Cedar. But the words that will be recited in that Cedar is the Haggadah. So, and that would say the Haggadah means the rite of Passover, the retelling of Passover story, the meal that starts Passover feast. So the rite is the bigger thing. It's everything. Whatever is said and whatever is eaten. And that's divided into two. The Haggadah and the Cedar. The Cedar is the meal. The Haggadah is retelling of the Passover story. Exodus chapter 15 contains the first ode of our psalmody, midnight praise. The crossing of the Red Sea, it's the first Passover, or the consecration of the firstborn males. Start from the bottom. Consecration of the firstborn males was done in chapter 13. The first Passover was chapter 12 before it. The crossing of the Red Sea was chapter 14, and the first host was chapter 15, after they finished crossing, and they see the Egyptians dead. The Lord is his name. This was in the song of Moses and the Israelites in chapter 15. What does it mean, the Lord? The Hebrew word that is originally written is Yahweh is his name. Remember what Moses asked God, and he said, what's your name so I can tell them? And he said, my name shall be what I shall be. And many of the commentators and the rabbis thought this meant he's telling Moses, let the Israelites wait until they see what I do in Egypt. Then they will know who I am. Because every name in the Old Testament denotes a character. So we hear about Adam taken from the ground. That's the meaning of the name. Woman means taken from a man. Eve, the mother of all living. When you say Edom means red. Then Jacob means the one who catches the heel of his brother, somebody who's coming after someone, wanting to take things from him. When you say Isaac means laughter. Abraham, the father of generations. So all the names have a meaning to do with the characters of the person. So what's the character of God? He said, you will know when I'm done with Egypt. You will know everything about me, and as much as I can tell you. So now they have seen everything God done. So they said, Yahweh is his name. We know who he is, in a way. So the word with the Lord is his name meant Israel loved the name of God. That's not what is meant. The Lord was the name of God. No. Israel knew God through his actions. Absolutely, yes. So they knew God. They knew now the name meant something to them because he showed them that he's stronger than all the gods of Egypt. And he is the God of heaven and earth, and everything is in his control. This is my this is my God, and I will glorify him. Glorify, Nava, that's a Hebrew word, means to beautify his place, to sing praise to his name, to lift God's name high, to obey his commandments, actually to beautify his places. Here comes the idea of us working and building places for God and for saints, and we make it very beautiful. We put icons, we use different colors, we use all what we can to make the most beautiful place for God, to enshrine, that's the word for it, enshrine, to make his place beautiful. And your love, and the word love here in Hebrew is chesed, and in your love you led the people whom you redeem. The word love is the Hebrew word hesed. It means favor, it means faithfulness, or it is A and C. It is A and C. It's hesed is the word, and it might mean faithfulness, among many other words. To be faithful to your own family members, to your children, your wife, your father, your husband. That's the word means, it's hesed. So when you read love, in your love, and you can read it actually mercy, in your mercy. That's where you get the word Lord have mercy. Lord have mercy is not somebody trying to avoid punishment. No, Lord have mercy means bring me back to that status of being loved as a child to you. And it goes all the way to that complete, perfect taking care of, to be taken care of completely and perfectly. So that's the word hesed, that is the original word for the Hebrew, for the English that translated love or mercy in the New Testament.